Hello my lovelies and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I am going to be doing a June reading wrap up of the 8 books that I read in June. I really wanted to read more this month. 8 is good, it's a solid number, but I was hoping to read more like 10 or 12. But at the end of the month I went to this 2-week writing camp and it was so much fun. I had the greatest time, but I wasn't reading much because I was writing a lot. So literally for that whole 2 weeks I read a total of 100 pages of a book, and that's not my norm, so I kind of got behind there, but that's okay. And I'll share with you the books that I did read. The first book that I read in June is Ambessa, Chosen of the Wolf. This is one that I was so hyped for. I was so excited to read it, and then I read it on a plane in one sitting, all 400 pages, just read it all, and it was really good. I rated it, whoa. Sorry guys, a giant wasp just landed on my window. I rated this book 4 stars. It was a solid, good book, and I really enjoyed it. The plot of this book, if you haven't watched the TV show Arcane, definitely watch it before reading the book. That's why I got the book, because I love Arcane. And so I wanted to get the book because it basically explains Ambessa, who is a character in Arcane, and explains her whole backstory. It gives you a lot of detail as to why she is the way she is, and we see some of the clips that are portrayed in the show more fleshed out fully, and then we get to see just her whole character, and it's really interesting. It does feature a sapphic relationship, so love that. Hashtag Pride Month. And this book is just really excellent. It follows Ambessa as her grandfather, I believe, is really sick and he's soon to pass away, and he is going to announce who the heir of the Medarda family is, and she really thinks she's going to be the heir, but there's this cousin she has who also thinks he's going to be heir, and they're like fighting, and it's lots of war, lots of fighting scenes, which I think is the only reason that I didn't give it a 5, is because I am not super into fighting scenes. Don't come for me. And it was just a lot of fighting scenes for me, which I think is why I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have a 5-star book. But it was an excellent book and I do highly recommend. There's so much character in this book, so much like morally gray characters, I would say, that you don't like, you connect to, but you also don't necessarily agree with everything they do. It really explores Ambessa's like motherhood and the way she loves her children, and I really love that. And yeah, it was just a great book and I would highly recommend. The next book I read is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. If you know me, you know that the first 5-star book I read this year was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and I adore that book. It is so good. So I was expecting nothing less from The Night Circus, and I was wrong. I hated The Night Circus. Is that too strong of a word? I don't know. But I really did not enjoy The Night Circus. I rated it 2 stars, which I guess is still commendable, but I had the worst time reading this book, and I don't know exactly what it was that made me dislike it so much, because the way that it's written is almost identical to the way The Starless Sea is written. Like, that's just Erin Morgenstern's style. Literally both these books, they're told in non-linear storytelling, they're told with very whimsy language, they're told in a way that's confusing, it doesn't make sense, but it ties in. There are a bunch of different stories woven into one, and literally that's the same for both of these books. And I loved The Starless Sea, but I hated The Night Circus. I don't know specifically what it was. I was talking to a friend and they said that they didn't like all of the like over explaining and the telling rather than showing, I guess, what was happening, and just it was kind of like word vomit a little bit. Like, there was so much detail and everything, and it was like, okay, but where's the plot? And I have to say I agree. I didn't feel like there was much of a plot, and the plot that was there was not interesting enough to keep me hooked. The Starless Sea, again, I say very similar, and it's very much the same in how like it's written. However, with that one, the underlying plot that was there had me hooked. This one, it did not. This book follows a wide cast of characters, but it mostly focuses on these 2, a woman and a man, and it follows them in their childhood and then when they're adults. And there is a circus called the Night Circus that they both, when they're grown, work at together. It's very hard to explain the plot without spoiling it, because the way it's told is, again, not linear. So I can't tell you the beginning because you don't know the beginning till the end, and I can't tell you the end because you don't know the end until the middle, and it's just very confusing. But essentially, there's a circus, it comes out at night, things are taking place in the circus, there's a competition, there's magic, there's a little bit of romance, I guess. I don't know, it's labeled as a romance. There is some sort of a romance, but it's not, I don't know, I didn't find it very romantic. Anyways, I wasn't a huge fan of this book, but I know there are some people who really love this book, so I'm not telling you to knock it before you try it. I'm just saying maybe consider the fact that it might not live up to all your expectations. The third book I read in June was 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I've read the reappearance of Rachel Price, and I love both of those very, very much. And so I was expecting Five Survive to be the same level. And unfortunately, I didn't love Five Survive as much. I rated it 3 stars, so that's, you know, a good rating. It's not bad. I wasn't as into it as I was into these other ones. I wasn't as hooked about what was happening. I think maybe a lot of it was the time frame. These other books that I read by Holly Jackson take place over a much longer like timeline. This one takes place all within like one day, which I think maybe is just not my vibe. I don't know. And the other reason I don't think I liked it much was because of the characters. We have a cast of 6 characters, and I didn't really like any of them. There's some of them that you're not supposed to like, some of them that maybe you're supposed to like and connect to. I just didn't like them at all. I don't know what my problem was, I guess, but all of them I felt attached to. I felt like, okay, I actually don't care who dies at the end because I don't really like any of them. And maybe that's bad of me, but that's how I felt reading it. And so I didn't connect with it. And because I didn't connect, I wasn't super into it the whole time I was reading. The plot of Five Survive, if you don't know, essentially we have these 6 friends who go to school together, and they're going on spring break, I believe. Maybe it's summer vacation, I'm not sure. And they're renting this RV to drive out and meet like the rest of their friends. And while they're driving, they get a flat tire and they get stranded in the middle of the woods. And then suddenly there's an active shooter, and he's saying, I'll only let you go if you tell me a secret. One of you has a secret and you know what it is. And so they're all trying to figure out who has the secret and why they end up in this situation and what's going on. And because it's called Five Survive, only 5 survive. It was like action-packed thriller, mystery, suspense, but it just wasn't as captivating as I wanted it to be. I wasn't so like on the edge of my seat wondering, you know, who the bad guy is. I was just kind of like, okay. And as everything unfolded, I was just like, okay. Like, it wasn't super interesting to me, and I'm sorry, but I do think it was a good book. Like I said, I rated it 3 stars, so that means it wasn't bad. But if you are a fan of Holly Jackson, I would just say this is not her best work. So don't go into it expecting it to be like great, because it was just okay. The next book I read is Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. Guys, I was so excited for this book. If you know me, you know I absolutely love Tinkerbell. I love the Fairies of Pixie Hollow. I love anything that has to do with it. My favorite movie growing up was The Never Beast and The Pirate Fairy and Secret of the Wings. All of them. I literally love all of them. But Secret of the Wings was a big one. And this book follows a plotline that is mentioned in Secret of the Wings, and that is the forbidden romance between Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory. And this explores Queen Clarion's youth and how they became these like forbidden star-crossed lovers. When I tell you I was so hyped for this one, just based on that plotline, and then I saw a video saying that there was also a sapphic romance in it. Guys, when I tell you I grabbed this book so fast. Oh my god. However, unfortunately, it did not live up to my expectations. I ended up rating it 2.75 stars, so not the best rating ever. And the reasoning for that is it was kind of boring. And I hate to say that, but everything just felt not as great as I wanted it to be. I wanted the stakes to be higher. I wanted the romance to be more romantic. I wanted the little sapphic side romance to have more oomph in it. I don't know. I just felt like every character that wasn't Clarion was not well developed enough. Like, Clarion had enough character, but she was the only character that had any character. Every other character was just like, it threw on like a word like funny, clumsy, strong, and it just like made that their whole personality, which meant they really didn't have any personality, and I wasn't super into that. This book, we follow Princess Clarion, who is soon to be initiated as queen, and she's like training to learn how to become queen, but a problem arises with these nightmare beasts that are showing up, escaping from winter into the warm seasons. The person who's queen at the time is telling Clarion, don't worry about it, you know, it's not your job, but Clarion wants to protect the kingdom that's going to be hers one day, so she goes out and she tries to figure out how best she can help, and she ends up meeting Mallory, who is the Lord of Winter, and they have, of course, their forbidden romance. Would I recommend this book? Probably not, but hey, if you think you know better than me, go for it. Next book I read was The Reformatory, and this book was so good. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and I will also be telling you good things about this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, very great rating, and this book was honestly incredible. I absolutely adored this book. It follows a young African-American boy in Jim Crow era South, and he has the ability to see ghosts, as do many children in this town. He can see and feel ghosts. His mother has recently passed away, and his dad is on the run from the police, so he's all the way across the country, and he's living with this nice old lady and his older sister. Then a problem comes up with this rich white guy in town, and he ends up going to court and then sent away to this corrective academy, and bad shit is going on at this place. Obviously, really bad shit going on, and we just follow his experience while he's here, and he's seeing the ghosts, and he's learning about all that's going on, and he's trying to escape and help his friends. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was an excellent book. It's definitely a very difficult read. Look up trigger warnings, but it's an excellent book, and I think everyone should read it. My only reasoning for not giving it 5 stars was because I feel like a lot of the stuff could have been a little more condensed. It was a very thick book. It was 500 plus pages, and as much as I loved it, and I'm not saying any part of it was bad, I do feel like some of it was a little superfluous and they could have cut down a little more. But again, no hate. It was an excellent book, and I highly recommend. Then I read Perfume and Pain. This book is super popular on like Book Talk, BookTube. I've seen everyone talking about it, so I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. And it was about what I expected. I rated it 3.25 stars, which is, you know, good enough. I don't actually remember too much about this book, if I'm being honest. I know that the main character was very unlikable, and like intentionally so, and I, not gonna lie, kind of hated the main character. I wish I could give you a plot overview, but I really don't remember it well. I just know there's our main character, she's a writer, and she gets kicked out of her apartment, and then she moves next door to this lady who she has issues with, and it just kind of follows her. It's a lit fic, so there's not as much like plot, it's more character. If that's what you're into, you'll probably like it. I would say that if you're a lit fic girly and you like things with unlikable characters, go for it, you'll enjoy it. If you're not, then I would say it's probably not for you. Then the last 2 books I read in June, I'm lumping them together because they're both poetry books that I specifically read because of this writing program I was going to. This writing program was so wonderful. I loved it so much. And ahead of time, I knew who some of my teachers were going to be and who some of the speakers were going to be. So I purchased some of their books. My home class teacher, her name is Annalise Gelman. She is such a wonderful human being. I adore her so much. Her class was wonderful. She's an excellent teacher. I'm so glad that I got put in her class because she is the most wonderful teacher I could have asked for. And ahead of time, I decided to order her poetry book and read it. This book is called Vexations. It is a 50-page book-length poem. It's all one poem. I didn't give it a rating, so don't ask me to, but I will say I don't think I enjoyed it that much. I think a lot of it went over my head, and I didn't really understand what the theme of the poem was supposed to be. It was also difficult for me to read and understand because there was no punctuation. The whole thing was like one sentence, and it was just difficult for me to follow at times, and I couldn't really make sense of what I was reading. I think if I had to say what it was about, there was a mother and a daughter, and they're like navigating through life, I guess. Like I said, a lot of the aspects are fuzzy. I didn't really understand what was going on, but there were definitely some lines that I was like, oh, that's fire. And after meeting Annalise and getting to spend so much time with her, I think maybe if I reread it, I would understand it more, but I don't plan on rereading it. Annalise is a wonderful human being, guys, so I would say to buy it just to support her because she is so incredible. In terms of enjoyment, I'm probably not the person to ask. This isn't the type of stuff I normally read, so I don't think I'm qualified to give you my opinion. And the other book I read was Granted, which is a poetry collection by Mary Shebist, who came and spoke at my program, and she is also so wonderful. She has such a calming presence, and I adore her. I really did. Some of these poems I liked a lot. Some of them, I don't know, I was just kind of flipping through. Again, I didn't rate it. I would say, sure, go for it if you're into poetry. It's very much more modern poetry, which, I don't know, I'm not the biggest into modern poetry. I kind of like more classic style poetry, but if you're into it, go for it. Again, please support Mary Shebist. She's a wonderful human. And those are all of the books that I read this past month in June. I know June is Pride Month. I didn't really read that many queer books, and I apologize. I don't know what was wrong with me. I read queer books like all year long. My like biggest genre on Storygraph is LGBTQ, so I don't know why for some reason in June I read like the least, but it's okay. Alas, we'll get more gay next month. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.